Word here. Well, welcome everyone to Reach and Read. My name is Katie, and I work at the Sacramento Public Library, where books are just the beginning. We're so excited to have you here and to have local yoga instructor Kat Sun with us today, and we'll get to her in just a moment. But first, I wanted to mention a few things, especially if this is your first time joining us for this program. So first is just some housekeeping stuff. So this is being done in a webinar format, so all participant microphones and video have been disabled. But if you have a question or a comment that you'd like to share, you can feel free to use the Q&A button that you'll find at the bottom of your screen, and either myself or Kat will get back to you. If you're having any audio related issues, please exit the program and re-enter. We find that doing that will typically solve that issue. If you need closed captioning at any point during the program, please click the live transcript button that you'll find at the bottom of your screen. You'll click that button, wait just a moment, and then you'll see the closed captioning pop up and you can follow along. And also this program is being recorded and will be shared to the virtual yoga playlist that's available on our YouTube channel. We have tons of videos of previous yoga programs that you can go and explore. And in case you haven't been to our YouTube channel, you can find us under Sacramento Public Library. And make sure to stick around after today's yoga demonstration for a short book talk based on this week's theme. So I'm going to breeze over these just in the interest of time, but I did want to mention that we have lots of health resources available at the Sacramento Public Library. We're doing a virtual journaling for mental health program on June 29th at 4. So if you're interested in mindfulness practices, meditation, art journaling, that's a great one to come to. We also have a regular virtual Zumba program that we hold on Mondays at 5:30 and Zumba Gold on Wednesdays at 4. And Zumba Gold is great for beginners and older adults. So if you'd like to join us for either of those are going on weekly. And of course, you can check out a book about the benefits of exercise, mindfulness, and yoga from the library collection. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and say thank you and turn things over to Kat. So Kat, take it away, and everyone please enjoy.
Great. Thanks so much, Katie. Hi, everybody, and thank you all for joining us today, whether it's live or virtual. So as always, just a quick reminder that I'm offering this from home, so you might hear some kind of extraneous sounds around my living environment. So if you do, please just let it slide off you. If my dogs start barking or my dad starts coughing, just let it slide through. Okay, and then as always, if you have some yoga props, it's great to have them nearby. Today, we're actually going to be using a yoga bolster. Now, I know many of you might not have that, so I'll show, if you do have yoga blocks and blankets, I'll show how you can kind of make a little burrito of your blocks with a blanket to create a bit of a yoga bolster. And if you don't have any of that, then you might just want to gather maybe some firm blankets that you can roll, or some big firm beach towels you can roll up into a bit of a lift for yourself. Also, if you have like a steady chair, like I've got a yoga chair here in the corner. Again, I know many of you probably don't have a yoga chair at home, and you don't need it to be a yoga chair, but just some sort of chair that's sturdy and stable as an option. So anyways, I'll give options. But as always, I've got a blanket that I use for a pillow under my head and other things. So you can have maybe a nice firm blanket, or again, big beach towels, a cushion, some cushions from your living room, from your sofa maybe. I've got a couple of yoga blocks, and I usually have a strap. Today, so if you've been with us for the past 5 weeks, we've been covering the 5 elements. This is through the lens of Ayurveda, a sister science to yoga from ancient India. And so from the 5 elements today, starting today and the next 2 weeks, we'll be covering the 3 doshas. So if you've ever heard the term Ayurveda, you probably have heard of the terms doshas. And if that's all new to you, then Ayurveda is a sister science to yoga, and it's basically like the study of life, and it focuses on our health and well-being so that we can then be healthy enough in the container of our body to pursue our spiritual practices. So the 3 doshas are Vata, Pitta, Kapha. And Vata is the one we'll be covering today. And so each of the 3 doshas are made of 2 elements. And we all have all of us have all five elements in us, and we all have all three doshas, but each of us has our own unique combination of that and how it tends to express, and then also what tends to go out of balance, right? And when we say out of balance, we basically mean something in excess of. So Vata is the dosha we're covering today, and it's made of the element of air contained in ether, basically. So it's of the three doshas, it's the lightest one. It's most mobile, right? Because air, basically, like the wind, you can think of the wind blowing in space, right? So it has that quality of lightness and mobility. So how it tends to express and say our personality is in a healthy expression. It's the dosha that kind of gives us creativity and sociability, and it uh, because ether is all about connectivity. If you remember, it's like the matrix that everything sits in, and air is about movement. So uh, somebody who has a lot of Vata dosha in their natural constitution might be somebody who is like leaner and either tall or short, but tend to be kind of lean, long limbs sometimes, and they might be very chatty, very social. So it expresses differently for each person, but when Vata goes out of balance, how it tends to express is then you can start to be like, you start to get a little spacey and ungrounded. And maybe you become a little overly chatty, or tend like if your schedule gets overly busy, then that starts to create a Vata imbalance. And some people can handle that better than others, depending on their constitution, right? So, and then when Vata gets more out of balance, then it starts to show up as things like, it'll start to show up as like anxiety or fear. And so today we're going to focus on a practice that basically help pacify that. So we're going to really be working on a more grounding practice. We're going to slow it down. We're not going to do too much. We'll start. And last thing I want to say about this is, so each of the three doshas, they tend to have a place that's their main location in the digestive system. So for Vata, its main seat of residence in the digestive system in the body is the large intestine. So sometimes when people are Vata dominant, they might be more prone to, say, constipation, or if you've got some Vata imbalances, and then there's a whole like food and that you could get into, and lifestyle habits to help counter these things. But today we'll just focus on some practices. So like I was saying, we're going to be focusing on helping to pacify Vata in our practice together today. So we're going to start with just some gentle massaging of our intestines, our large intestines, in the direction that the intestine naturally flows. And we've done this together before, so I'll guide us through it. And then we'll just do some very light, gentle movements, slow, gentle movement. So slowing things down. Like I'm talking a mile a minute right now, so that's a little Vata initiation. But so slowing it down, and then we're actually going to be focusing maybe on some forward folding and definitely some more restorative poses where we just we get ourselves supported properly and we stay in a pose longer. So that's kind of the game plan for today. So with that, let's go ahead and start on our backs. So again, I have a blanket for my head as a pillow. If you've got a cushion at home, you can use that too. And we're going to just take a beat to land. So arriving onto your back, you can have your legs straight, or you can have your legs straight, or you can have your knees bent, feet on the floor, knees knocking in. If you do have blocks or bolsters at home, you can also have them underneath your knees, just so that there's a little bend in them. This so that it releases in the low back. Especially if you got low back issues, then having something either under your knees like this, or having your knees bent with the feet on the floor and just let the knees knock in to support each other is a good place to be. And then let's go ahead and just bring both hands onto our low belly and take a moment to arrive. So always taking the time to arrive and to ground into where we're at. And I can hear gardening, so I apologize. All right, so as you arrive onto your back, let's just take a few rounds of breath here. Take a nice breath in through your nose and clear it out through your mouth. And again, inhale in through the nose and clear it out through your mouth. And one more. Big, full breath in through the nose. And nice sigh out through the mouth, releasing and clearing. Just take a moment to feel your body now. Feel your back on the floor. Feel the spine release into the support of the earth. Feel the warmth of your hands on your belly. And just tuning in to how you feel this morning. So always taking a moment to connect inwards. And then, like I said, we're going to start by massaging our low belly. So you can use like the tips of your fingers, like the finger pads. I'm sorry, not the tips, but the finger pads. And you're just going to circle, like you make little circles, and you're going to circle the little circles in a big circle. So I'll sit up in a minute to show you. And you're going to start at the lower right corner. So let me just show you. So we're going to start in, let's see, I guess I should mirror you. So you're going to start at the lower right corner, and you're just going to make little circles and then start to work your way up the right side. So you stay on the inside of the hip bone. You might feel the hip bones there. Stay on the inside of the hip bone and just circle it around. And then up the right side, you're going to go across the top underneath the ribs and then down the left side, right? And then you just come back down and around. You're going to go in a nice big circle in that direction. But basically, you're going in a clockwise direction. So moving in a clockwise direction, starting at the lower right corner of your abdomen, like right above, like to the outside, right side of the pubic bone even. And then work your way up the right side. Take your time. Breathe into what you find, and you're in control of how much pressure you put into this. You can also, if it doesn't work for you to make little circles, you can use your fingertips and just kind of walk the fingertips. Let it be an inner exploration. And as you massage this big circle around your abdomen, imagine this is the direction that the colon moves in, right? Like things in the colon, they move in this direction. They go up the ascending colon on the right, then they go across the transverse colon at the top, and then they go down the descending colon down the left side, and then they go out. So just giving yourself a nice little massage in this direction. So again, you can let the fingers circle or let little fingertips walk. I'm just going to close my windows as you continue to do this. Good. And then once you feel more or less complete with that, just instead of the fingertips, just let it be nice big palms. Now you can put one hand on top of the other and just kind of smooth it out, like using your hands, mirroring you, smooth it out. Like some nice big palm. Like now, whatever you just stirred up, you're smoothing it out. A few more times, just nice big circles. And that big circle around the belly. Okay. And then from here, let's go ahead and we're just going to open our arms out wide. And we're just going to do some gentle twisting here. So palms facing up, arms out T-shape, directly out from the shoulders. Feet are on the floor now. So if your legs are straight, bend the knees, feet on the floor. Walk your feet nice and wide apart from each other, maybe about mat width apart. We're going to take an inhale. And as we exhale, we're going to let our knees rock to the right. Inhale, bring your knees back up to center, and exhale, knees rock to the left. So just with your breath, nice and easy. Inhaling through neutral, exhaling, knees over to one side, and then back through center and knees over to the other side with the breath. Once you get that pattern in the legs, you can add the head. Next time your knees rock to the right, spin your head to the left. And then back through center as a knee spin to the left, head spins to the right. Nice and easy. Just a little gentle twisting, stretching out that belly area, stretching out actually the psoas and upper quads too, front of the quads. All right. So keep it nice and fluid. All right, and then back to center. From here, let's just hug our knees in and gently rock a little, massage your low back into the floor. Take a nice breath in, nice breath out. So I didn't say earlier, but some of the things we can do to also counter Vata is Vata's tendency is to coldness and dryness. So if you're prone to being cold or dry, then that's Vata expressing. And so to counter that, you want to make sure you stay warm enough and that you stay lubricated, right? So um, massaging yourself with some warm oil is a great counter to Vata. Okay, from there, we're going to just circle our knees together in the air, just gently massaging that low back, sacrum into the floor. And then we'll circle it the other way. Just some gentle opening to get some movement into our bodies. Okay, and then from here, let's go ahead and we're going to press the knees away from our chest, open them wide apart, hug them in towards the armpits, and back to the center, right? So we've done this together quite a bit. We're getting some movement through the hip sockets. So you're just tuning into how this movement feels in the body this morning. Whenever you feel ready, you can reverse the direction. Just take the circling of the knees in the opposite direction as the knees mirror each other. Okay. And then hugging your knees back into your chest, let's go ahead and just circle our ankles. And circle the ankles the other way. And then we're going to plant our feet back onto the floor. Open your arms out wide again. Now press your feet down into the floor, lift your hips, and scoot your hips just an inch over to the left. And then hug your knees back up towards your chest, feet off the floor, and go ahead and let your knees rock to the right. We're coming to a twist. So again, let your arms be nice and heavy, especially that back shoulder. If you need to have a little support, maybe the knees don't come all the way down, you can have a support to that side so the twist is not quite as deep. So here I've got a bolster, but if you don't have a bolster at home, you can pile up some cushions or some rolled up blankets or something. And that would be something to help give you a little lift. So as you twist, you don't feel this need to go all the way over. You can keep your left shoulder heavy, left arm heavy behind you. And take a breath in and a breath out as you arrive into your twist. And you can even turn your head to look back in the opposite direction as the knees. And imagine you're breathing into this abdominal area, bringing it out. Okay, back through neutral with the head, and bring your knees back up, plant your feet down, find neutral through the spine. If you did have some support on one side, move it over to the other side, or spin around or something, so the support's on the other side. Again, arms open out wide to the T, feet on the floor. We're going to lift our hips and slide the hips just an inch over to the right, and then bring them back down. And then lift your feet off the floor, knees hugging in, and let your knees rock over to the left. And again, it's nice to have something there to catch you. In this twist now, think about letting your low back move in towards your spine a little bit as you keep your right shoulder heavy behind you. And then if it's okay for your neck, you can spin to look over the right shoulder away from the knees. Take a breath here on the second side of this twist. Okay, just feel the twist through the abdominal area. Nice breath in and out. And then let's bring the whole thing back to neutral. So again, landing the feet, get your spine squared out, nice and even. And from here, we're going to keep the left foot on the floor and just hug our right knee into our chest. And then you can clasp behind your right thigh with your hands, or you might find you would like to use a strap. So this is where if it's not an easy clasp behind your thigh, you can use something to help elongate your reach. So a strap, a belt, a necktie, a scarf, anything to help extend your reach. You can put the strap or whatever it is you're using behind the thigh if that's better, right? So either that or the hands are clasping behind the thigh, and we're going to flex the right foot and press the right heel up into the sky. So we're starting to elongate the hamstring. Point your toes, bend the knee, bring your foot back down. Again, flex the foot and press up through the heel, lengthen the back line of that leg. And then point the toes, bend the knee, bring it back down. One more time, flexing that foot, sending the foot up through the heel, nice long line in the back of the leg. Shoulder blades are sliding down the back body, both shoulders are still grounded, back of the neck is nice and long, and we're gonna circle our ankle in the air and circle it the other way. And then just pressing the back of the hamstring into the hands or the strap and vice versa, press up through the heel. Think about lengthening the back of the hamstring on the side. And then go ahead and bend the knee and take your right hand to the right side of your knee, and we're just going to open the right knee out to the right. So let your right elbow ground. And you can just keep it like this, or if it's appropriate and you want to straighten your leg out to the side, you can straighten your leg out to the side here. You can just bend and straighten it a few times. If you are going to straighten the leg, get your hand out to the outside of the knee and also towards the outer shin a little bit so you can support it as the leg straightens. You can keep it straight if you're ready, or just bend and straighten, or keep it bent. Let's bring it back in. One more time, hug the knee into your chest. And now stretch your left leg long on the floor. So as you stretch your left leg long, flex the foot. So the foot is flexed and the toes are pointing up to the sky, and you're spreading the sole of the foot and spreading the toes, and you're letting the inner thigh of the left leg roll towards the floor as you hug your right knee in. If that's not appropriate in your body, keep the left knee bent, foot on the floor. One more time, clasp behind the right thigh, and again, press your leg up to the sky. Actually, this time if you want, and you've got a strap, you can slide the strap onto the sole of the foot, and you can take your leg up this way. If you don't have a strap, then just hand behind the thigh works. Okay, if you got the strap, then have the strap on the sole of the foot, slide the strap towards the bottom of the arch, top of the heel, and then one hand on either side of the strap. And breathe into the back hamstring stretch here. So again, pressing out through the heel, spreading the soles of both feet, spreading all 10 toes. And from here, we're going to open it out to the side. So if you're using the strap, you can just take both sides of the strap in the right hand, left hand grounds your left thigh. You're going to open it out to the right. Let your right elbow ground if you can, shoulder blades down the back. Now, if you don't have the strap, then you've got the hand, and again, you can start with the knee bent and help your leg out, and then maybe you play with straightening your leg out to the side by sliding your hand from the knee towards the top of the outer shin to support it. And then whether you've got the strap, if you got the strap, just bring your leg straight up with the strap. If you don't have the strap, using your hand, spin the knee, and then bring the knee back in. And then everybody, we're going to bend the knee again. Take your foot out of the strap if you're using it. Plant your left foot on top of your right foot on top of your left thigh. Open your right arm to the right, palm up. Left hand to the outside of that right knee. Take a breath in, and exhale. Let's twist it to the left. And breathing here. So again, breathing into the twist, bringing out that low abdominal area. Take a few rounds of breath here. So as we move through this practice today, just keep it nice and slow and fluid. Stay with your breath. When you're ready, coming back onto our back, use your hands to hug the right knee in. And then we'll just stretch the leg out, press your palms up overhead. Nice full body stretch. Okay, and then we're gonna bend both knees again, feet on the floor. From here, your right foot stays grounded, hug your left knee in. And just pausing there. And then we're going to take our hands behind the left thigh as we press the heel up into the sky. So pressing up through the heel to lengthen the leg up. And then we point the toes, we bend the knee, and we bring it back down. So 2 more times, flex first, and then pressing up through the heel, lengthen the back line. Point the toes, bend the knee, bring it back down. 1 more time, flex, and send it up. And this time with the foot up, let's go ahead and circle that ankle in the air. Just getting some movement into our ankles. So important for our sense of balance in the world. And then circle it the other way. And then flex the foot. So again, pressing the back of the hands and the hamstring into each other. And then we're going to bend the knee again. We're going to hold the outside of the knee with the left hand. And as we inhale, we'll open our left knee out to the left. Let your left elbow ground. You can keep it just like that if this is plenty to staying here. If you want to play with stretching the left leg out to the side, then remember your hand slides from the outside of the knee down a little bit towards the top of the outer shin, just so you can support that. You can maybe bend and straighten it a few times, or if you're ready, you can keep it straight. If the leg is straight, the foot is flexed, spreading through the sole of the foot and the toes, pressing out through the inner heel and ball of the big toe. And then if the leg is straight, you bend the knee. Everybody, let's hug it back into the middle. From here, we're going to stretch the opposite leg long, so the right leg can press away from us. Nice long right leg. So now the right foot is flexed, toes are spreading, sole of the foot spreads, toes pointing up. Inner thigh, the right leg is sliding down towards the floor, right? So there's this inner spiral action happening in that straight leg. You can either use a strap or just use your hands. If you're using the hands, you just hands behind the thigh again. If you're using the strap, you can slide the strap onto the sole of the foot. Slide it towards the bottom of the arch, top of the heel. And then again, straighten the leg, holding either side of the strap in either hand with the foot stacked over the hip. And just breathe here, breathing into the back of the hamstring here. You know where we're going. We're going to open it up. So if you're using the strap, both sides of the strap come into your left hand. Right hand grounds the right thigh, and you're going to open it out to the left. Let your left elbow ground, shoulder blades slide down the back away from your ears. If you're not using the strap, then you might like to bend the knee first, hold the outside of the knee, and then open your knee out to the side. And once it's there, if it's appropriate, you straighten the leg out to the side again. But the straight right leg is active. Imagine that right foot is on the floor like you're standing nice and tall, and the right foot is the contact into the earth. Just imagine that. And then if you're using the strap, just bring your leg straight up with the strap. If you're not using the strap, then go ahead and bend your knee, hold the outside of the knee, and bring your leg back in. From here, we're all going to take the strap off the foot. If we're using it, we're going to plant this left foot on top of the right thigh, open our left arm out to the left with our palm up. Right hand to the outside of our left knee, take a breath in, and exhaling, we're going to twist it over to the right. Let's take a beat here. Again, breathe into the twist through the abdominal area. Think about arching the low back in towards the spine, keeping your left shoulder, left arm heavy behind you. And then we'll unwind, coming back onto our back. Use your hands to interlace the fingers and hug the left knee in. And again, the nice full body stretch. Okay, and then bring your arms down by the sides. Take a nice breath in, big breath out. Take a moment, just feel the effects of that. Notice if energy is coursing through. And then we'll bend the knees, feet on the floor. And we're just going to roll over to one side in order to come on up. So we're going to come up now, and we're going to do just a little bit of seated forward fold. Hopefully that was enough of a warm up on the hamstring and hips so we don't overstretch our low back. So we're going to do some seated forward folds. So I recommend definitely sitting up on a bit of a lift. So we're in a webinar format, so I can't see any of you. So please make sure you take care of yourself and you don't over round your low back, okay? So that's why we're going to sit up on a little bit of lift. I'm pretty flexible, so I'm going to sit on a pretty low lift. But if you find your hamstrings are a little bit tighter and you tend to round back, you tend to round back when you're seated, then you might want to sit up a little bit higher. So you might stack a few different blankets together, or if you got a bolster, you can sit up on your bolster. So we're going to start with that. So just sitting up on whatever lift you're choosing, and then you come towards the front edge of your lift. So come towards the front edge of it, ground down into the front of your sit bones, and then from the ground of the sit bones, lengthen your crown up. And actually, let's start with straight legs here now. So we're going to straighten our legs out. So this is Dandasana, staff pose. So hands are on the floor or on your support next to you. Here, legs are active. See how my feet are active? My feet are spreading, my toes are spreading, and I'm still thinking about rolling my inner thighs down as I ground down through the sit bones. And then I'm bringing my low back in towards the spine. So side view of that. You don't want to be here, right? Collapsing. So if you find you're here, then sit up higher and come towards more the front edge of your sit bones. You can even use your hands and lightly pull the flesh away from the sit bones, back a little bit. And then think about really bringing your low back in towards the spine, shoulder blades down. Legs are active and hands by the sides. And this is Dandasana, staff pose. So nice and tall here. And then from here, we're gonna go ahead and open our legs out wide, just whatever is a comfortable distance for you. But the feet are still active, the legs are active, so toes are still spreading, soles of the feet are spreading, and I'm pressing out through the ball of my big toe in my inner heel. I'm still lengthening the inner line, and almost like you want to hug the outer edges of the feet back up towards your outer hips. And then we're going to be coming forward, so here is where you might want to have some stuff. So you can even use a chair. So if you're using a chair, especially if you know you're not very flexible in something like this, then it's going to have something that you can come forward into. So here I'm going to demo it with a chair. So my legs are active, nice and wide. I'm seated high enough so my low back's not rounding back and I feel supported. And then you might just have a chair and you can just bring your elbows onto the chair seat and like bring, let your forehead rest. Maybe the thumbs can be there to support your forehead at the third eye or right at where the eye sockets are there. You know, find a place where you can kind of rest into it, right? Or if you've got a block is great. You can use a block and let your forehead ground onto the block maybe. But keep your legs active. Don't let the legs get lazy. So if this is where you're at, this is great. Use a chair and you can just hang out here. But first lengthen, get long, and try not to just collapse. So keep the front body nice and long as you come forward from the hip crease. Okay, so now if you don't need the chair, that as well. So here I'm going to demo. If you are somebody who has a bolster at home, you can get your bolster up and come into it like this. Or you can, some people do this with the bolster, you know. So take what you need so you can be supported here. And if you don't have any of this stuff and it's not appropriate, then maybe do this on your back instead. You know, it's a very different effect because ideally we are able to ground our forehead, but you know, we're working with what we have. So if you don't have all the support that I'm showing and you want to do a wide leg stretch, you can also do it on your back and just have your legs open and have your hands on the outside to support that. And we'll do some other stuff to help ground the forehead later. So we'll get that in even if you're not able to do it in the seated forward fold right now, like I'm demoing here. So if you are coming, you can, and if you are have more range and you don't have all the props, then shoulder blades down the back and you can just start to hinge forward. So again, make sure you're not rounding, but you stay nice and long through the spine. Front of the spine's nice and tall. And you can just start to walk forward. And then maybe you can ground your forehead onto something. And just take a few breaths in whichever version of a forward fold you're taking here. So again, the the goal of today's practice is to help ground the nervous system, calm the nervous system, to counter excess vata, excess movement in busyness or flightiness, spaciness that we might be experiencing. We live in a very vata-vitiated culture today. Everything's very busy and very fast and lots going on. So really great to take the time to have a slower, more grounding practice. Okay. All right, so whichever version you're in, we're going to slowly start to bring ourselves on up. And then you can have your hand on the outside of your knees to help your knees up. And just bring it forward. And then let's go ahead and bring the soles of the feet together. We're going to come into Vata Konasana here. So soles of the feet together and press the soles of the feet into each other. Again, you're going to come towards the front edge of your sit bones, shoulder blades down the back. And then we're going to just start to hinge forward. And again, if you have something like some blocks, you can ground your forehead into, right? So maybe you're here. Maybe you're able to get it down here. Or maybe you've got a chair that you're using. And again, you've got a chair you're using, just slide the chair in. And then you can even stack your fists like this so that you have something to ground your forehead into if your head doesn't make it to the chair seat, right? But make sure your shoulders are relaxed if you're using a chair. You don't want your shoulders up in your ear. So shoulders are sliding down the back, nice and relaxed. And just coming again into your version of a forward fold and take a few rounds of breath. And as you settle into it, you might find you have a little more range to come a little bit deeper. So you can move the chair away from you if you're using the chair, forehead on the seat. If you're not using the chair and you got the blocks, maybe you started up higher with the 2 blocks stacked. Then you could change the height of the blocks. You can get rid of a block, So take your time, slowly, slowly settling into this, breathing into it. And with our next inhale again, let's rise all the way up. Bring your hands to the outside of your knees and help your knees up. And then we're just going to stretch the legs long again and just kind of shake them out a little bit. Okay, from here we're going to do a forward fold with the legs straight. So again, seated onto our little lift. Here you might want to have some blocks. Again, you can use the chair, right? Great to have the chair. I'll demo that first here. So you got the chair and you just slide your legs in between. And then you bring the chair close enough so you can just forward fold here. The legs are active, the feet are active. I'm still rolling my inner thighs down. I still think about focusing, bringing my shoulder blades down the back, low back in, hinging from the hip crease. And then I come into the pose, keeping the legs active, stretching out the back line. Now, if you're not using the chair, but you've got blocks, then you might start with your blocks up high again, right? And you just come here. Different height options. So you're going to listen to your body and don't overdo it. So when you start to round the low back a lot, then that's a sign that you need to come up and stay up higher. Also, we're working towards straight legs. But if you're working with some hamstring issues, especially if you've got like a hamstring injuries, then you might find it's better for you to keep your knees slightly bent and you press the back of the heels towards the floor, right? And then you're not getting quite as much of a hamstring stretch here, but you're also not creating more strain in the hamstring injury. And the main thing is try your best to somehow get your forehead grounded. So as we ground the forehead, you can think about softening your eyes and softening your busy mind. You might find it helpful to maybe gently open your mouth and wiggle out your jaw a little. Let your mouth be soft, your tongue be soft. And soften the muscles of your face. Soften the muscles around the eyes. Soften around the mind, the thinking mind. And then when you're ready, let's slowly again rise on up. Move your props out of the way. Okay, and then let your hands help your knees bend. And then you can just point your feet on the floor, hands behind you, just windshield wiper a little, or you might want to shake them out. Okay, from here, we're going to come into some restorative poses with props. So if you don't have a bolster, but you've got some blocks at home, you can make your own bolster by basically wrapping your blocks, right? So you kind of just wrap them into like a little burrito. Yeah, you just kind of wrap it up and you kind of got a little makeshift bolster you can use. So hopefully you have something like that. If you don't have anything like that, then like I said, you might get some big, some firm towels and you roll it up nice and tight, or some cushions. So see what you have, but I'm going to demo. We're going to come into a supported twist. So here, I do have a bolster, so I'm going to demo it first, assuming you have some props at home. So here with the bolster, if you want, you might find you need to lift your bolster a little bit, in which case you lift it from the head part, and then you're going to slide a block underneath. So you create like a little cant, like a little ramp, ramping towards you, right? It's like ramping down to you. And then you're going to sit with your right hip on the floor, not on the bolster, but on the floor. next to the bolster. So your right leg is underneath, and the arch of the right foot can just cradle the top of the left foot, and you got your left knee stacked on top of the right. You're sitting on the floor with your right hip facing the bolster and then one hand on either side of the bolster. So here we're going to ground down again and lengthen. From the lengthening of the spine, we can start to pour our spine over the bolster, and then just let your arms rest on the floor. So forearms on the floor, elbows underneath the shoulders if that's comfortable, or you adjust it because different people, different height. And you can have your head spinning in the same direction as the knees, or if it's okay for the head, you can spin. Okay for the neck, you spin to look back. Now, if you don't have the bolster, but you have a couple of blocks and a blanket, then you can do that here with this, and you just use this as a bolster, right? And if you don't have either, then you can see if you can jerry rig enough stuff around the house to create a makeshift bolster. Otherwise, you can come back onto your back and do another twist here. It's a different effect, but again, we're working with what we have. So if you don't have any of the goodies that I'm demoing with, you come back onto your back again with the pillow under your head, and you can just take a twist here. So again, you might have some support on one side then as you twist to one side, but you want to feel supported and like you can really rest. So again, this is a very different pose than using something to twist over, but we're doing what we can with what we have. So taking a moment in whichever variation of this twist you're in, and just breathe. Allow yourself to settle into the pose. Again, feel this gentle twist moving through the abdomen. Notice how it feels to breathe here. If you are laying over some kind of a support in the seated position, then feel your front body really melting into that support. Oh my goodness. Neighbor's alarm's going off. I apologize. Just let it roll through. It'll stop eventually. Making sure we're breathing. Okay. Now if your head was spinning back, you can spin forward. And if you're home and watching this on a video, you want to stay longer, feel free to stay longer. In this live version, we are on a rather tighter timeline, so we won't stay here too long. So if your head was looking back, spin it forward. You're going to slide your hands now underneath your shoulders and then press into your hands to help yourself on up. And then we're just going to do the other side. The easiest way to transition to the second side is you're just going to start to turn yourself to look away from the bolster. So you're back facing the bolster, and then you keep turning in that same direction until you come to the other hip. So the left hip now is facing your support. Now the left leg is underneath. So I'll turn around. So now the left leg is underneath, and the arch of the left foot can cradle the top of the right foot. Right knee on top. And again, I'm sitting on the floor with the bolster or the support right up against my left hip, but I'm on the floor. I'm seated on the floor. Hands on the bolster, hands on the floor, either side of the bolster, grounding down to lengthen up, get nice and long, tall through your spine, and then like you're pouring that spine, belly, then the diaphragm, then the ribs, then the chest onto the support. Head spinning in the same direction or head looking back. Again, let the forearms rest. So find a position for your arms where you can settle in and you don't have your shoulders creeping up into your ears. So nice and relaxed, shoulder blades down the back. And then again, finding your pose, take a nice breath in and a nice breath out. So to ground Vata, some major things we can help do that with if you're feeling anxious or spacey or ungrounded, any of that kind of stuff, or you're having trouble sleeping. That's commonly can be a symptom of excess Vata if you're having a hard time sleeping. And really trying to weed out your schedule so it's not quite so busy is a really great thing to do. Try to get a little more spaciousness in your schedule so you can slow it down a bit. Some nice, long, deep breaths in and out. Find yourself in that state. It can often help us ground back into our body. Eating foods that are a little more grounding. You know, like I love salads, but salads are definitely Vata vitiating. So, you know, eating a little more cooked foods and things that are a little bit more grounding can be good. Root vegetables and so on. And it also depends on the season and so many other things. Okay, so from here, if your head was spinning back, go ahead and spin your head forward, same direction as the knees. And we're going to start to slide our hands underneath our shoulders in order to help press ourselves on up here. And then just go ahead and unwind. All right. And then we're going to come into, so one of the things that I found really helpful when I was in grad school and I was really Vata vitiated and constantly under a lot of stress and having a real hard time sleeping is I got into the habit where I would come home. It wouldn't matter what time I'd come home, but I would basically turn off all the lights and just have candle lights on. And then I would always take a nice warm bath. And then I would put my legs up the wall. And this was the only way I could sleep because I was like such a stressed out mess. So we're going to do legs up the wall now. Now, if you don't have a wall you can use, then if you've got a chair that's steady and it's not going to move, I'll show both versions, okay? If you've got a wall, then go to a wall. So first I'm going to demo it with a chair just because I'm here with a chair. So if you're using a chair instead, you want something that your legs, see here, I'm able to slide my feet through. So if you don't have that, then you might need to turn the chairs. I don't know, it depends. But you can come with your legs, just the back of the calves on the chair. And then again, maybe a pillow or something underneath your head if you're coming into this version. If the floor is hard, you might want a pillow all underneath, a blanket all underneath you for some extra cushion, and then a little pillow under your head, right? And then you're just gonna come with your arms out to the sides, or you can have your arms bent in cactus, and you just settle here. Now, if you're not using the chair and you're gonna use the wall instead, we're gonna do Viparita Karani at the wall. Then I do like to have a little, sometimes people use a bolster, but if not a bolster, maybe a little folded blanket. You're going to bring it up to the wall, but a little bit away from the wall. So here I'm going to demo it. I got a little blanket, not too tall. And then I've got it about maybe 3 inches away from the wall. And some people don't like using the blanket, so you can see, you don't have to use it. Or sometimes it's easier to get yourself into it without this. So maybe I'll demo it without it first. So get yourself seated right up against the wall. This is how I do it anyway. So I get one hip right up against the wall, and then I'm gonna come onto my back. And then once you're on your back, you're just doing your best to shimmy yourself towards the wall. So you're trying to get your sit bones onto the wall. Now, if you've got some tight back, if you've got a tight, like hamstring back kind of issue, you might be some distance from the wall, and that's okay. But you're just getting yourself as close towards the wall as you can. Maybe you can plant your sit bones on the wall, maybe you can't. And then legs are just stacked right over the hips. So again, arms can be in cactus, or you can have the arms overhead, or you can have the hands on the belly, whatever's comfortable. And then here, once you're up, if you feel like, oh, I would like a little something, you can lift your hips and slide a little something just underneath your sacral area, right? But if you do have something, then you want to let your butt kind of drop past it. That's why you don't want, if you're using a support, you don't want it right up against the wall. You want it a few inches away from the wall so that your hips can kind of drop towards the floor a little bit if you've got that little lift. But not in your low back, right? So it's more kind of sacral area. And then you just settle in. Close your eyes. If you have something to cover your eyes with, cover your eyes. And then soften your mouth, relax your tongue. Maybe stretch out your face, wiggle out your jaw one more time. As you let your mouth close, let your teeth and your lips stay slightly parted. Let your tongue be soft, short, and broad. Some of your mouth is spacious. Soften the front of the throat into the back of the throat. Soften at your belly, your heart. Let the muscles around the eyes relax. Soften the space between your eyebrows. All tension on the forehead melts into the floor. Soften your ears. Soften your inner ears. Soften the space between the inner ears. Allowing your eyeballs to gently sink towards the back of the skull. Allowing your front brain to soften into the back brain. Letting your inner gaze rest into your heart center. Settling in. Without any effort, without any movement. Gently bring your awareness back into your body without any effort or movement. Just notice your breath that's breathing you. Take a moment to just observe the breath as it moves in and out. And as you feel ready to re-engage, start to take a deeper breath in through the nose and a fuller breath out. Bring a little bit of movement into your fingers and your toes. If your legs are up the wall, you can start to slide the feet down. Let the soles of the feet come to touch, knees open out wide, like we did earlier, Vata Konasana, up the wall. And then you can use your hands on the outside of the knees to help the knees up. And then whether you're using the chair or the wall, you can allow your knees to hug in towards your chest, maybe a little rock side to side. And then rolling over to one side in fetal position. Feel free to linger in fetal position as long as you like. And then you press up when you're ready. I'm going to turn things back over to Katie now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kat, for another wonderful session. That was really great. So I'm going to share my screen so that you can see the book that I chose for this week. All right, so this week's theme is the Vata dosha, which is a combination of space and air elements characterized by cold, dry, rough, and hard qualities. People with a predominantly Vata constitution talk quickly and are restless, active, and creative. When unbalanced, they can become fearful, nervous, and anxious. I've selected the book First We Make the Beast Beautiful, A New Journey Through Anxiety by Sarah Wilson to share with you today. Sarah Wilson is a New York Times bestselling author, podcaster, journalist, and broadcaster. She is well known for founding the I Quit Sugar movement, a wellness program with many accompanying books. The title for this book came from a Chinese proverb, which says that before you can conquer a beast, you must make it beautiful. This became crucial to Wilson's understanding of her lifelong struggle with anxiety. Wilson suffered from depression, bulimia, insomnia, OCD, bipolar disorder over the course of her life. She tried different kinds of therapy and in the end learned that they were all variations of the same theme, anxiety. And she wasn't alone. Globally, 1 in 13 people suffer from an anxiety-related illness. Wilson investigates anxiety, interviewing fellow sufferers, mental health experts, philosophers, and even the Dalai Lama. She was invited to ask him one question, so she asked him, how do I get my mind to shut up? His Holiness responded, there's no use, it's impossible to achieve. Wilson ruminated on that response, then arrived at the subtext. You're okay as you are. This big thing, this beast, something you've been fretting over no longer needs to be fixed. You can breathe. But then Wilson says, I'll go a bit further. I've come to believe that the fretting itself can be the very thing that plonks you on the path to a great life. Throughout the book, she shares practical tips for living with the beast. She shares to create a gratitude journal. Just breathe. Meditation can be healing. Make your bed every day. Order creates inner calm. Study fellow fretters such as Emily Dickinson, Charles Darwin, and Martin Luther King Jr., who all struggled with anxiety, and actively practice missing out on things. Forget about FOMO. Curl up with a good book, order takeout, and enjoy. This book is practical and funny, offering insight and encouragement to those who live with anxiety to embrace it as a part of who they are. First We Must Make the Beast Beautiful is available in audio, ebook, and physical formats in the library collection, so you can check it out for yourself. And thank you again for joining us for Reach and Read, and a big thank you to Kat for another great session. We'll be back next Thursday, May 25th at 10 a.m., so we hope to see you then. So to find a library location near you, sign up for a library card, or to learn about upcoming programs for all ages, just go to www.saclibrary.org. So for Kat, myself, and the Sacramento Public Library, thank you so much and be well. Bye!